Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at something that is extremely cool and something that I have not looked at previously here on the channel. This is the first of the Rebor Broodlord X-Rex figures. This is the metallic X-Rex in 1/35th scale. And one thing that I'm not a big collector of is Alien products. Even though I do actually quite like the movies, I'm not a huge fan of them. I've watched them a few times and they are definitely very good films. But it's not something that I go out of my way to collect. Like, there are all kinds of really cool NECA Alien figures out there that I have never even considered purchasing, even though I do like the films, again, like I stated. But when Rebor had announced this, I thought it looked really cool, but I wasn't really sure if it was something that was for me. But I went ahead and took a shot on one anyway and picked this one up. This is, again, the initial release by Rebor from these Broodlord figures, the X-Rex figures, and I'm really definitely keeping my fingers crossed it's as nice as I think it is, as I am usually a pretty big fan of anything Rebor. The box is showing up pretty beat up for some reason, but there's not too much going on the box until we look around here at the back, and then we can see a few different variations of the X-Rex figures, and you can see that there are two different Broodlord ones, and then there are two different Swarm figures. And this one I think just released, and then these two have yet to release. I actually think I like this one better than the one that I have currently as far as that paint job goes. So I may pick the others up. I don't know for sure. I'm considering picking this one up as it is currently in stock on Everything Dinosaur, but I haven't actually pulled the trigger quite yet because, again, I'm kind of waiting to see how much I like this figure here before I go and decide if I'm going to pick up any of the others. But let's go ahead, without further ado, break the box open and get our figure out and take a look at it. So here is our X-Rex figure. Really nicely sized. I can see that straight away. It's definitely a pretty impressive size. It actually comes in a few different pieces because these little deals here up on the back you have to put into the X-Rex. The tail, of course, is disconnected, as are the arms. You have to put the arms on, and then the very strange alien-like tongue in here you also have to apply to your X-Rex. So there is a little bit of assembly required, but it's nothing that's complicated. It's really obvious where what goes, and it's definitely a very simple build as far as that goes. But at first glance, I must say it is a very impressive looking figure overall. I really am quite impressed by the actual detailing, the fine detailing of the figure, as there is quite a bit included with it. So let's go ahead and just get a closer look at it right now and decide if any more of these X-Rex figures are for me in the future. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that the head sculpt does look really, really cool. As far as the actual detailing goes, it's honestly off the charts as far as like minute details go. One thing I really like right away, I can see how this is almost translucent. You can see like through this kind of skin that's stretching right there, and I think that's really neat the way that they've done that, as well as like the tongue area here. You can see kind of its, if it would focus, it's also a bit translucent, and of course the teeth as well are very translucent and have an extremely creepy look. Again, looking very faithful to like a prop or something I would see in an Alien film. I feel like it would look pretty much just like this. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of aliens, so there are probably things and aspects about this figure that might have names specifically that I'm going to miss, but it is what it is. It's just the way it is. I'm not too familiar with Alien or anything Alien related, but as far as this figure goes, I think that they've done a pretty darn good job as far as sculpting out the very fine detailing of the figure, and it definitely has that metallic look. You can see it shine, has a really nice kind of a gloss coat, which makes it shine pretty much all over the place. Actually, let's go ahead and pull this tongue out because I have not had a chance to actually get this in very well since I just put it in, but we could take a look at the tongue itself, and you can see that as far as the detailing of that goes, it also looks really nice. Very cool as far as even like look at the detailing along the tongue. Extremely impressive. And again, the area right here at the tip of the tongue, I guess you would call this the tongue, has a very nice translucent look to it. But again, looking at the actual head, one thing that is interesting about the figure is that the mouth is not articulated, which is something you often find with Rebor figures. You usually have some articulation in the mouth of their figures, but I guess the kind of skin stretching off of the head here would be pretty hard to include if this was articulated, so that's probably the reason why. If you look up here at the top of the head, again, more incredibly nice detailing, and you can see some like purplish color that runs down here, like a darker purple. The primary body is actually like a purplish, pretty much like a purplish tint to it, but then you can see like a darker purple that runs along the spinal area of our X-Rex, As we move down into the neck region, again, look at how insane the sculpt and detail is of this figure. Very impressive as far as the minute detailing goes. I think this might be one of the most detailed Rebor figures I've ever seen. Very nice kind of skin texturing here in the throat region as well. Coming down into the arms, you can see the arms do articulate a little bit, but that's because, of course, I had to apply the arms initially. If you look here at the arms, I'm dragging the tail on the backdrop there. The nails of the fingers are really nicely done, also giving a very nice translucent look. You've got those adorable little Tyrannosaur arms there. Continuing to move down the body, again, there is just sculpt and detail everywhere on this figure. And it's very, very stunning overall as far as the detailing goes. Again, this is actually, these four little guys here are what we had to put into the back. And I do apologize, I don't know exactly what those are supposed to be called exactly. Ooh, he's falling out there. But that's my fault for not being too in the know as far as the Alien series goes. You can see a very nicely done hip bone right here. You can even see a sense of the musculature here in the legs, some more of that kind of like weird stretching skin that runs along the figure. You can also see some calf muscles here. The leg is very much so bent down. It's kind of crouching on both sides as far as the legs go. If this were standing straight up, I feel like it would be very, very tall because there's a lot of leg yet to go up. You can see the nice foot sculpt, and again, the nails, just like on the hands, they are translucent, and they do gloss quite nicely, but pretty much the entire body, again, having that metallic look, does pretty much look a little bit glossy. You can even see the dew claw back here, which is also translucent. And then we come up here into the tail, and again, you have very nice detail, very nice sculpt, and then it picks up here as far as these kind of like ridges that run along the spinal column of the animal, and you can see that they get larger here as we get out closer to the tail. The tail is articulated. You can bend it and position it pretty much any way you want. I assume there's like a wire in there, and then we lead out to the tip of the tail, which also looks really cool. If we look at the opposing side, again, the head sculpt looks insanely well done. Lots of really nice sculpt. You can see into the neck here as well. Lots of skin wrinkling and everything going on in the neck because the neck is turned to the right, so that's some nice attention to detail on top of the incredible sculpt as far as the minute details go. Again, looking at the detailing here in the stomach, incredible sculpt everywhere. Very nice arm. Again, the nails are given that translucent look. You can see the hip bone once again. The musculature of both the thigh and calf are nicely present here on this side as well. You can kind of see like a kneecap here in the front. Once again, the leg is kind of scrunched up on this side, bent down. Again, if it was standing straight up, it would be very, very tall. You can see the foot sculpt over here. Again, that's really cool, the way that the nails are translucent. I do like that touch. That's definitely something that's very unique and very different and really cool to this figure as far as this figure goes. And then we lead out the length of the tail, and the tail again looks very similar to what we see on the other side, of course, but just as beautiful. Again, you can see that darker purple and then a little bit of like a lighter tone of purple for the primary body. And you can see also the underside is insanely well done as far as that sculpt and detail goes. So as far as an X-Rex figure goes, kind of a mixture of an alien Tyrannosaurus Rex, I don't think that you're probably ever going to find any better than what you see here, and it overall is extremely, extremely cool. As far as a size goes for a length, if we go from the tip of the tail to the head, you're looking at about 17 inches or 43, almost 43 and a half centimeters, so very long, and that's when the tail's stretched out nicely. For a height to the top of the head, they're about 6.5 inches or about 16.5 centimeters. So the overall size is just as impressive pretty much as the sculpt and detail of the figure. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our X-Rex figure, and you can really see next to these figures that, again, the X-Rex sports some really large size. Overall, definitely a very striking size, on top of just generally being an extremely striking figure, just being so unique and so different from pretty much anything else Rebor has done in the past. It also sports some very impressive size to the figure overall. And then for another size comparison, there is the Killer Queen from Rebor next to the X-Rex from Rebor. And you should have a pretty good idea if you happen to have the Killer Queen as far as what the size of the X-Rex is, because they're pretty much the same size, almost spot on as far as size goes. They actually are very similar even in the positioning of the body, as the Killer Queen has its right foot forward, its left foot back, and both have their heads turned slightly to the right, so that's very interesting as far as they go. But hopefully, again, if you have the Killer Queen, you'll have a good idea of what the size of this figure is right here. So as far as this Rebor X-Rex Broodlord figure goes, the metallic version, it's definitely impressive, I will say that. It's not something that has completely blown me away, most likely because I'm not a huge Alien fan, but the sculpt, I cannot dare say, is not extremely impressive as far as the detailing goes. It truly is sculpted to the max, and if you are an Alien fan, I feel like this is something that is a must-have, and probably each and every one of these figures that they release will pretty much be a must-have as far as these X-Rex figures go. But even if you're not a fan of the Alien franchise, this may still be something for you, because honestly, as far as a really cool dinosaur collectible goes, this is very different than most. So if you're looking for kind of a breath of fresh air, I feel like this also might be a really nice choice and just something cool to add to your collection to have sort of a hybrid dinosaur. But as far as the sculpt and detail goes, it really is extremely, extremely impressive overall. The sculpting as far as the fine detailing goes is just off the charts incredible. I feel like Rebor has just put a ton of work into this, and again, like I stated, it may be the most highly detailed Rebor figure that I've ever seen, which is quite a statement to make because there are some very highly detailed Rebor figures that we've had in the past, but this is just kind of off the charts as far as the sculpt goes. The paint is decent, there's just not really too much to it. It almost looks like it might just be like two different tones of color. There might be a few other kind of tones of color to it that I'm not picking up on right here with the lighting, but I feel like for the most part there's not too much going on as far as the actual paintwork goes. So it's not the most impressive in the painting aspect, but definitely very impressive in the sculpting aspect. Even the sculpting of the positioning of the body is fairly nice. It's nothing over the top, but it's just kind of stepping forward and looking extremely intimidating. And again, I think that the figure as a whole is extremely nice looking, very appealing to the eye, and at the same time very creepy considering the very alien-like appearance to the figure. So will I pick up the other X-Rex figure? At this point, I'm still not entirely sure. I don't know if I really want to get it. Again, being in the $50 or $60 price range, that's a lot for a figure that I'm not completely positive that I want to get. So we're just going to have to wait and see. So in the comments, guys, let me know what you guys think. And if you want to see the other one reviewed here on the channel, I may just pick it up to kind of review it and please you guys. But at this point, I don't know for sure if I'm going to get the other one. I'm leaning toward potentially yes, but we'll just have to wait and see. But regardless, I still am very impressed with this figure here, and definitely a really cool addition now to my collection. So if you do want to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to BigBadToyStore.com and EverythingDinosaur.com, where you can pick and choose where you'd like to order it from. So make sure you head down to the description, go purchase a really cool Broodlord X-Rex figure from Rebor, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.